Our next item is to adopt a resolution approving amendment to the fiscal year 2017-22 capital improvement program to include the Crestmoor Canyon slope improvements feasibility study, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Cotton Shires and Associates, Inc. to complete the feasibility study in an amount not to exceed $23,500 and appropriating $23,500 from the capital improvements reserve.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Recently, staff received inquiries from residents regarding the condition and stability of San Bruno Avenue adjacent to Crestmoor Canyon. And this project is in front of you tonight is to evaluate the hillside erosion issues and recommend mitigation measures to stabilize the erosion. So here's the area map of the location of the canyon that's attached in your staff report. It's attachment number 2. The canyon it's bounded by San Bruno Avenue, Glenview Drive, Crestmoor Drive, Interstate 280, and then a little bit of Sneak Lane. The area within this canyon is heavily vegetated and has been used as a drainage discharge area over many years. The hillside erosion issues within the Crestmoor Canyon has been evaluated in the past, where the city hired the firm Cotton Shires and Associates to perform a study to identify and evaluate the landslide and slope stability conditions and drainage control issues. The study was completed in 2008. Through their visual investigation and review of topo maps and geological conditions, they identified 9 sites, including 2 sites adjacent to San Bruno Avenues, which are considered to have erosion or potential erosion. And the report also identified the types of hazards, relative risk level for each site, ranking from low, moderate to high, and recommended actions, and along with the estimated cost for the recommended improvements. Earlier this year in March, staff requested Cotton Shire to perform a reconnaissance of the roadway, slope, and drainage conditions located along the San Bruno Avenue from Glenview Drive and Crestmoor Drive. And the slide shows the 2 locations where they performed the reconnaissance. At Site 1, the drainage discharge has, they noticed that it was significantly increased in erosion and the slope failure since the 2008. And at Site 2, the firm determined that there was no recent slope movement, and the pavement along San Bruno Avenue identified no major changes to the pavement surface since 2008. So the study concluded that San Bruno Avenue does not appear to be at immediate risk, but for future erosion and slope failure may ultimately migrate towards the roadway unless appropriate remediation steps are taken. And since Cotton Shire has extensive knowledge of the canyon issues due to their past evaluation and assessment, staff requested the firm to submit a proposal to provide geotechnical and civil engineering services for development mitigation measures to stabilize the erosion to prevent future risk to San Bruno Avenue and address the storm drain discharge issue as well. The scope of work includes preparation of a topo site map, completing 3 subsurface explorations, borings to a depth of about 20 feet to determine the soil properties, because it was not performed during the 2008 study. Laboratory testing and geotechnical analysis and of the laboratory test results, and summary report that will include alternatives for the mitigation. Some of the mitigation measures that will be considered include relocation of the drainage outfall, grading solution to stabilize over the steep slopes, retaining wall solutions to stabilize the slopes, and other measures to control erosion. So the conceptual estimates will also be provided for each mitigation alternative, and staff will work closely with the firm to discuss their finding and mitigation measures. Once the alternative is selected, staff will come back, staff will issue a request for proposal for design services and return to council to award the design contract. The schedule to complete this work, the study, is about 4 months. Since the project was not included in CIP, staff is requesting an amendment into the CIP, the 2017-22 fiscal year CIP, to include the study, and requesting an allocation of $23,500. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Anything for staff? Ken?
Familiar with with these types of studies and things, but also have experienced that the cost estimates from the geotechnical consultant is really conservative. And so I was wondering, when the time comes, when you are faced with these potentially some of these mitigations or repairs, how will you go about that? You will obviously have an engineer on staff, you'll have an estimate, a construction estimate. Will you bring, true, foundation engineering, engineers involved to really design this thing?
Right, so the first step of the work is to come up with the mitigation measures, and once we determine the actual, the most feasible and cost-efficient alternative, then we will go ahead with the design, which we will develop a better, through using a structural engineering firm and civil engineer firms to get
That's what
better-
I was getting
right.
at, is that,
There's a
not
two-step
necessarily,
process.
I trust the geotechnical consultant, knows what they're doing and will give a very good indication on what needs to be done. It's the, structural engineers that really need to take a look at it and achieve what the consultant is trying to get across.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Action by the council?
Is that
It's a resolution.
resolution? I'll introduce the resolution.
Vice Mayor Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember Marty Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Rico Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.